In this video, I want to take some time to go over the ACT portfolio. This is one of the biggest assignment, and it's in fact the biggest assignment required for completing the ACT program. It is tied directly to the Colorado, it is actually not tied directly to it, it is aligned with the Colorado Teacher Quality Standards. It is the Colorado Teacher Quality Standards, which if you work in a public school in the state of Colorado, you will be evaluated using the same set of standards. So it just makes sense that we use it because then the language matches, the criteria matches, everything that you're going to be required to do. I like the statement here to describe the CTQS. They outline the knowledge and skills required of effective educators. Are used to evaluate all licensed educators in Colorado public schools. So we really really align the entire program. All of the volumes that you're going to work through will track back to the Colorado Teacher Quality Standards. Every activity that you do will track back to the Colorado Teacher Quality Standards. They're that important for an educator, so we just decided it was the thing to do. So here we go. Let's talk about this. And you're going to be working on this assignment all year. You can start working on it as soon as you want to, but it's going to take you most of the year to complete it because, well, a big reason for that is because a part of gathering the evidence is the relationship between you and your faculty mentor. Your faculty mentor is going to come and observe you. Actually, let me show you the observation tool they're going to use. Yeah, they're going to observe you using this observation tool. It'll be ongoing. You see dates of observation. This is for first semester. They'll actually have every semester on here. Well, actually, it's semester 1 and semester 2. All 6 observations will be accumulatively marked on this form, and you see the teacher plans lessons that reflect Colorado academic standards. If you go to, here is the CTQS rubric from the State Department of Education, and you'll see the teacher plans lessons that reflect Colorado academic standards. So that's a direct match with what's on the observation tool. So we're observing everything that's on this portfolio. Your faculty mentor, this will be ongoing throughout the year. They'll be coming in to see you. They'll be having conversations with you continually, and the two of you will together be continually referring to this, and they'll be continually working on this. Your goal is to get to the proficient range in all of these indicators up to level 3s. And I'll explain the difference between levels 3s, 4s, and 5s in just a second. You can get advanced if you want to. The X just means they haven't seen it yet. Mentors probably won't even use that, but the goal is the proficient, the P. The A is above and beyond. Don't have to get there. You will get there on some indicators, but it's not required on any of them. Required on all of them here. If you get a ranking of partially proficient, it really just means that you're working on that. They maybe observed it once, but they want to observe it a couple more times before they're willing to move you up to the proficient category. The proficient category means in this move that the teacher plans lessons that reflect Colorado academic standards, that when you're marked proficient, then your mentor's saying that that's part of your daily practice is to align to academic standards. That's what they're saying when they give you that proficiency rating. So they're going to need to see it more than once or evidence of it more than once over time. That's going to happen. This won't be as difficult as you think. If you look, the list we'll scroll down. I'm not going to go through every one of them in this video. It'd be way too long, but there's a lot of ground to cover. But you got an entire year to do that. And not all of it happens inside of the classroom. Here, teachers reflect on their practice. A large part of Teacher Quality Standard 4 happens outside of the classroom. Let's go back to just a quick review of the standards. So this is a document pulled from CDE. You'll have access to this within the Canvas course shell. There's going to be a link within the assignment for this, and I'll show you where the assignment is in just a second. But here's the standards, and all of the practices, same, are listed again on the observation tool, so you can use either of these. Standard 1 has element A, element B, element C. Standard 2 has element A, element B, element C, and element D. Standard 3 has element A, B, C, D, E, F. So it's the longest. Standard 3 is the longest, but of course it's going to represent the majority of what you do in the classroom. And then the final standard, standard 4, has A, B, C, and D. A lot of your monthly meetings with your mentors, you'll be meeting with them monthly one-on-one. A lot of that time is going to be spent talking about your progress towards meeting these standards, because every assignment, almost every part of the ACT program, the content, and almost all the ACT content ties back to here. Plus, remember, ACT is performance-based, so we're evaluating you based on what you do in the classroom and what we see. Well, this is that observation. This is how we track what we see. And again, that can be through what we observe in the classroom. It could also be through conversations. Not all of these are observable practices. Some of them will be seen through lesson plans, unit plans, documents like that. And we'll get into more about the evidence later. So that's overall the Colorado Teacher Quality Standards. You can find those on the CTE website. Just Google Colorado Teacher Quality Standards and it'll take you straight to the CTE website. I already showed you the observation tool, which again, just to remind you, links directly back to the CTQS. So line by line, it's an exact match. So as you're required to prove that you've exhibited these practices, for the most part, you're going to be able to show it here because your faculty mentor is going to observe that. You will also have to, you're going to track your own progress. Let's go back to, let's pull one of these up. And all these documents that I'm showing you are going to be in Canvas. Let me move this. I'm in the Canvas course shell. If you look at modules, scroll clear to the bottom is where you'll find the assignments. ACT portfolio is right here. If you pull up standard 1, you're going to see all these, all the things you need linked in here. It's always going to be there. Let's go back to this document where you track your own progress. So this is just repetitive, redundant. It shows the same teacher quality standards that I've showed you before, but it's broken out piece by piece to give you, and it gives you a place to document. So here's where you're going to track your progress. You're going to show when you've met level 1 practices for Colorado Teacher Quality Standard. We're in Standard 1, Element A. These are all the practices within Element A in this rubric down here. This is a place for you to note level 1 practices. So let's say you're back with the teacher observation. Here are your level 1 practices. There are 2 of them for Element A, Standard 1, Element A, and you've been marked proficient for both of those. So you can just say, for level 1 practices, you've met those, and the attached artifact's going to be your observation. So you'll just put in here observation, and the explanation will be observed by my faculty mentor. If they say you met that, that's the only evidence you need. Now, there are other ways you can meet these, and I'll get to that in just a second. But if your faculty mentor said you met that, then the artifact is the observation tool, which your mentor will already have. So you don't really have to attach that. And then the explanation is observed by faculty mentor. Really simple when that's the case. But you'll track progress through, again, up to level 3 practices are what is required. There are level 4 and level 5 practices listed for every standard. You won't be required to meet all those. Again, you will meet some of them, and probably your faculty mentor will challenge you. If you're doing really well, then they're going to challenge you to level up, because this is a continual improvement model, so they'll probably direct you to try and meet some of those. And of course you want to meet some of those, and you will meet some of those even if you're not really trying or intending to, because they're natural parts of teaching and learning. Levels 1, 2, and 3 are all things, if you go back and read the artifacts, teachers provide for levels 1, it's the teacher. For levels 1, 2, and 3, it's the teacher, the teacher, the teacher. For levels 4 and 5, it's the students, the students. So now this is students demonstrating something That's something that has to be observed by your mentor, and they're going to observe some of those things. So you will meet, your students are certainly going to respond. They're not going to sit around all year not responding to you. So you'll meet a lot of level 4 and level 5 practices within these. And hopefully you'll feel challenged to do that. But anyway, that's a tracking tool. You have one for every standard and element. For terminology, this is the standard, element A. These are all the practices that you see here. Standard 1, element A, all the practices listed here are also listed down here. So just a direct correlation. Looks messy at first, but you'll get the feel of it pretty quickly. Again, you have to meet all elements up to level 3. Beyond level 3 is not required. But in order to complete this assessment successfully and become certified at the end of ACT, you have to hit level 3 on every single one of these. That's why it's going to take you the whole year to do it. You're not going to do it in the first semester. You're certainly not going to do it in a few months. It'll take an entire year for your mentor to see enough in your classroom for you to prove all of those. Okay, that's really the gist of it. Faculty mentor observations tied to Colorado Teacher Quality Standards, tied to your classroom. Some of them will be naturally exhibited. Others you'll incorporate as part of your practice due to the mentorship, due to understanding and knowledge of these elements, and then through suggestions made by your mentor, you will implement those into your instruction, and they'll become part of your practices. Now, let's say for some reason you don't meet all the practices, your faculty mentor doesn't observe them all, or if you just want to knock some of them off a little bit quicker, there are secondary ways, there are other ways to meet the criteria. Those are listed here. So observation documents from a principal or instructional coach also work as observed evidence. Observed evidence the best because there's very little work you have to do. Lesson plans. So how do you prove that you design lessons aligned to Colorado content standards, which is the first element and first practice is that you align instruction to Colorado academic standards. Well, that's going to be proven by through lesson plans. You'll document it on lesson plans or unit planning somewhere in your documentation. So that'll be shown by this. Your mentor will mark that off too because they'll observe your lesson plans. But it's just a good example of other ways you can prove things. There's a lot of stuff that you'll be able to prove by showing ways, things that you did in certain lessons through your lesson plans. Classroom videos, you're going to video yourself a couple of times. You can video yourself as much as you want to. It's a really good practice to video your teaching and to review it and evaluate your own teaching. But you'll especially if you want to show that students are doing something, you can show that through classroom videos. You're going to have meetings ad nauseum, professional learning communities. You'll be talking about stuff in those meetings that will apply to Colorado Teacher Quality Standards, especially in Standard 4. Where it's really about planning and personal growth and improvement. A lot of that's going to happen outside the classroom in meetings, conversations with your mentor, coaches, principals. So keep notes of those things if you think they'll align to a standard, and you can use that as artifactual evidence that you've met certain moves or behaviors. I forget the terminology, certain practices. And then there's a lot of other things like, do you have rules and procedures? We'll have take a photo of the rules and procedures you develop with your kids at the beginning of the year, or that you paste on your wall, or video. Maybe you're going to do a capturing kids' hearts thing, and you're going to do a contract with your students and have them help you develop those rules. Video a piece of that. Things like that will provide evidence outside of just your mentor's observations. If you provide evidence that's outside of the mentor's observation, and that you have to provide a little bit more in the explanation. So say, and here's an example, plans that plan lessons that reflect Colorado academic standards. So the attached artifact could be a couple of lesson plans where you're showing that this is part of your daily practice. In fact, it's required of you to note that on your lesson plans. So the attached artifact would be a couple of lesson plans, probably more than one if you're really wanting to prove that. And the explanation would be the attached lesson plans show that that aligning my lessons to Colorado academic standards is part of my daily practice, something like that. You have to do a little bit more. Whereas circling back to if the faculty mentor observes it, then the only thing you need to say is faculty mentor observation, and the explanation is the same. The attached artifact is the observation. The explanation is that the faculty mentor observed you exhibiting this. It's very simple. We trust that faculty mentor because we hired them. If your principal observed it, or if your instructional coach observed it, then of course we're going to need to see that artifact because we don't have that. And then you'll explain that during this observation they saw this practice. It's a little bit more paperwork if you don't use the faculty mentor observation. I think I pretty much covered it all, but so how you complete the portfolio standard is that you've filled out one of these for every element, and I showed you there are several. There are 3 elements in Standard 1. So for Standard 1 you'll have 3 of these documents that are completely filled out, up to Level 3 practices. So Level 2 practices, there's Level 3 practices, there's only 1. So up to there you're done. Nothing beyond here has to be done. Once you have completed an entire standard, so all of Standard 1, which is 3 elements, and then all the practices under those elements, you're ready to do general reflection. And it's the same for all of them. What are your personal strengths? What areas do you need improvement in this standard, and how do you plan to continue addressing the need for growth within this standard? So just a 3-part question: where am I strong? Where could I use improvement? And what am I going to do moving forward? Because when you submit this, you're going to be towards the end of ACT, and you're going to be towards the end of our influence. Our goal is that you sustain this model of continual growth for the duration of your career. So we want you to put a plan in place as we walk out the door, saying, here's what I'm going to continue to do to work on my abilities in these practices within this standard. 3-parter. Your mentor, you'll submit this through the assignment on through the assignment in Canvas, which I showed you where it was. You scroll to modules and clear down to the bottom. You'll find the assignments. There's the ACT portfolio, CTQS. Open up Standard 1. You'll submit this artifact. Got to find it again. You'll submit this reflection there, tell your mentor that you submitted it, and they'll evaluate it. They'll read through it. If they agree with what you said, they're going to check off, and you'll be done with Standard 1, and they'll put a grade of completion in that assignment for Standard 1. Again, it all has to be done. If they want you to do a little bit more within the reflection, they'll send it back to you, say, think a little bit more about this or that. You do that, complete it, send it back. They'll okay you, and then they'll mark that as complete. And you have to complete all 4 of them. So you'll have 4 general reflections, 1 for each standard, 1, 2, 3, 4, submitted, approved by faculty mentor. Then you'll be completely done with the CTQS. This will be one of the last things you finish up because it's again, like I've said over and over, it's going to take you the entire year. Hopefully that provides a good introduction to the CTQS. It is the bigger assignment, so if you have more questions, certainly lean on your faculty mentor to answer those, or you can always contact me, Curt Turner, the program director.